Here we have Meredith Chandler. She is another one of our amazing speakers on the platform. I will kind of hand it over to you to share a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Okay, will do. Thanks for having me. So like you said, my name is Meredith. I've worked as an occupational therapist I'm coming up on 11 years now, and I've worked with clients across the age span. Most of my research and academic stuff tends to go more towards sensory integration as it relates to clients or patients across the age span. And so the course that I had presented was mostly about sensory integration and its implications for self-feeding in pediatrics. And that's me.
Yeah, and it was really interesting because I think we have, as speech therapists, we have the speech component, and it's really interesting to hear it from an occupational therapist standpoint. And that's how we collaborate, and our clients' progress just, is amazing. And then for
Yeah.
our next question is, when you heard about the pediatric source and what we were doing, what drew you to wanting to be one of our speakers?
So, the initially when you presented the idea to me that sensory integration was a topic, that usually gets my feelers going up and ooh, I know that. I know that.
Uh-huh.
I'd love to give some input. But the fact that it's started by somebody outside the occupational therapy discipline, that excites me more because I feel like the multidisciplinary approach is still lacking when it comes to treatment across the board for both adults and kids. And so that's what got my attention, was kind of creating this multidisciplinary approach in education and clinical practice.
Yes. Yeah. And that's really why I created my platform. It's for that collaboration to really take place and for each discipline to understand how can we help one client with various avenues. So I'm glad you are on board and you loved it and you wanted to join, because I think it's needed and you have a lot of value and a lot of insights to share. And the
Oh,
last
thank you. Thank you.
question, yeah. The last question is, where do you see the pediatric source from now on to the future?
I wish for nothing but good things. I want to see more people drawn to the platform because, like I mentioned before, that collaboration is so greatly needed. As an occupational therapist, I mean, I've collaborated with speech therapists in the past, and the insight that you guys provide is just amazing. I mean, I don't know anything about that. We don't cover a lot of that in
Mm-hmm.
our graduate school programs, and so having your input, especially on something regarding self-feeding, is awesome because mine is just sensory integration and
Mm-hmm.
positioning mostly. But then when we combine the swallowing feature to it that I am less familiar with, I'm like, oh, I feel like I can produce interventions that I feel are much safer to do and much more applicable and relevant to the kids. I don't feel like I'm wasting my time because if I have a speech therapist, I'm like, oh, there's some value. And so with your pediatric source and seeing where it goes in the future, I want more people drawn to that. I want more therapists to be in tune to that. Oh, that collaboration is needed. So I'm hoping there's more courses, there's more communication, there's more interaction. I want to see this thing grow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think you made a really good point. I think, like, and maybe I've mentioned it a little bit before, SLPs don't know enough. We know what sensory needs are. We are starting to know how to identify them, but I feel like you gave us such a good breakdown of and the science and the research behind it for us to be able to even identify things that maybe we don't know yet. And
Mm-hmm.
so it is something beautiful.
I love it.
Yeah,
That's a
love
good
it
word to
too.
describe it. Beautiful.
Yes. Well, again, thank you so much for coming on and sharing what you do.